Welcome to this next episode of YouTube. We're featuring the medical pen, which has been completed. Basically, we just put wood walls around the pen to protect it as well as the roof. And here's a view of Aidan and Denali. Denali's actually laying down. Aidan's kind of looking towards the lab here in the medical pen during a somewhat significant lightning rainstorm. So again, the whole purpose of this was to place a covering and wood walls to protect this medical pen so that in the future, when we have animals that we're working on, we have a dry place to be able to work on them and recover them if we need to. The other issues that we're dealing with is obviously summer brings algae to the pond, so we are trying some 35% hydrogen peroxide that we'll be mixing into the pen, just a small amount on usually about a 2 to 3 day rotation for about a week, and we pour it into the middle of the pond, stir it up so it's diluted a little bit, but it's still, the action within the pond is something that stimulates the wolves. We are still grooming, trying to get some of that winter coat off, and it gives us a good time to check for ectoparasites, any tick issues, any kind of fly bite issues that they might have. But the sooner we get that undercoat off, the more comfortable the wolves will be. And this is Aidan getting groomed here. And so this is a daily occurrence for wolf care, trying to get that undercoat down. Wolves do shed just once a year, as we said. And Denali's not quite as far along in shedding as Aidan is. And that primarily is due to the fact that Aidan's a little bit more likely to stand for wolf care staff and gets a lot more grooming, and Aidan's a little more possessive of wolf care staff. We're still seeing some typical pack-mate interactions, litter-mate interactions. Denali doing a chin rest here over Aidan, and then trying to do a ride up, and Aidan obviously going down with a low tail, drops his head in a submissive posture. But that's just common. It doesn't necessarily mean that Aidan's going to be a lower-ranking wolf once the pups join the pack in 2012. It just means this is the current dynamics between those two individuals. And you can see Aidan is capable of taking care of himself and will posture and pretty much just allows Denali to interact that way, but it does have moments, as I said, with wolf care staff where he's more possessive. So the enclosure is greened up. We have a full leaf out, and so things are regenerating very well. The area where the straw was moved certainly has come back. And in retirement, we are also seeing some green up, although the areas are affected by this scraping. That's Malik doing the scraping there. You can see his full belly. He just had 6 pounds of chicken, and his abscess scar is healing up. We are noticing, though, he's continuing to have some hair loss, and so we're not finding anything in the blood work that might indicate what that issue is. And you see a little bit of some hair loss on the top of his head and on his shoulder there, but we're trying to figure that out. Again, with no blood indication that there's an issue, then it may be stress related, and so we'll have to take a closer look at that and see what his situation is, and that may be causing that. And it's not something that's affecting shadow, so we know it's probably not something environmental, but we're keeping an eye on it. They're getting fly ointment, although they don't like it. They are getting fly ointment to protect their ears during this summer season. We're going to try some spray on the den and some spray along a gate and see if they'll scent roll on it as a delivery method. They're really shy about getting it hand applied by the wolf care staff, and that's something that we do for everybody else, but these two are pretty shy about that. So you see that kind of darkness on Shadow's ears. That's the residual fly ointment. Obviously, if they roll in the dirt, it gets kind of dark. But vegetation in here is always a challenge. Again, some pretty dominant trail systems they've got. In the back, the vegetation is probably more affected by shade. That's almost 100% shade area from those pines, which is good for the wolves. They do like to go back and retreat into that area, and that makes them comfortable during these warmer days rather than the front of the exhibit that's got some sun. But as this exhibit obviously holds wolves longer, typically retirement, we might have a break in between when these wolves are retired and when the next ones go. We will do some vegetative management. And the noise you're hearing is the ravens, and they go on pretty much steady when there's a carcass in the enclosure, and so that's a lot of noise that they deal with, as well as some highway noise. That's something that we try. We have put up some sound barriers on the outside of their pen, trying to cut some of that sound, but the fact of the matter is summer is a busy time. It's much noisier from the bird activity to the car activity than you would find in the wintertime. But other than that, again, they're eating well. Actually, both of them are now starting to take carcasses on Wednesday, beaver carcasses or deer legs. We did feed a torso last week, and they ate that pretty well. Grizzer is doing well, and one of the things that we did differently this week is we didn't film him when we were doing wolf care, which he's always excitable, and people are thinking that he's really anxious, but he gets plenty of time resting. Here, though, you notice his ears are pricked and turned to the sides. We've been dealing with construction of his new area, and so that's made him a little bit nervous, but he kind of settles in pretty well, and he, again, uses the shade in the back of the exhibit. That's another concern why we want to get him more area is compaction. Soil compaction affects vegetation, so we definitely want to get him into that new area. He is digging just to find some shade, not necessarily shade, but coolness. He does lay underground sometimes, and that's fairly common for wolves. One of the things about wolves is we do have ground wire adjacent to the fence that's buried down about 2 feet deep, extends 4 feet in, so the digging, if they do dig adjacent to the enclosure, you will find that they hit wire and they don't go any farther. He also has a fair amount of hair, and again, before we start brushing them, we just use our fingers and try to get some of those, it comes out in sheets sometimes, try to get some of that loose hair. We don't want to tug on his hair, we want to do it gently, and it's a very relaxing thing for him, and so the wolf care staff is focusing on that until we can get some of that undercoat removed. Other than that, he's again faring pretty well with the construction. It's been a couple of stressful days. We only have 2 more days left before the main contractors are done with the main fence, and then wolf care staff will finish the rest, and that'll make it easier for him. We hope by I'd say in the next week or 2, you'll see him in that new habitat. And he'll have access to both. He does like to come to the edge of this enclosure. This is kind of what we call the pack holding area that has a fence that is adjacent to the wolf lab, and he likes to watch what the activity that goes on in the wolf lab. He's very keyed into staff and activity there, and otherwise, like I say, very relaxed. And so we chose to not show the morning wolf care where he's really excitable and everybody's howling and communicating. We didn't want people to perceive that he was all stressed all day long. As you can see here, he's got quite the relaxation going. So he's doing pretty well. And as we said, this is a daily occurrence for us, multiple times a day, especially when it's warmer. We have an opportunity. He's a little more likely to be relaxed in a relaxed position, and we can work with him pretty easily. So that's what's happening in wolf care, and we again want to thank you for watching and hope you enjoy this little footage of maintenance issues that go on within the Wolf Center exhibit. Thanks for watching.